You're probably looking forward to hugging and cuddling your canine friend after a long day, but for some reason, he seems aloof, avoiding any affectionate gestures. What could be the problem? Although dogs are a man's best friend, there are instances they downright don't like us. In this video, we will tell you about the signs your dog doesn't love you. 7. Growling at you. Typically, dogs growl when they are uncomfortable or fearful about a situation. Most of them use it as a warning to make something stop, for example, a stranger from patting his head. It may be normal for your dog to growl at a delivery man. It is not normal for him to growl at you. If your dog does growl at you, it means he's upset with you about something. It is important that you stay calm. Yelling at him or hitting him is the worst thing you can do. Think about what you might have done. Were you too close to his face, grabbing him in a rough hug? If you can't figure it out, you should see your vet and be sure he isn't sick or injured. Some dogs growl more than others, and some rarely growl at all. Every dog's personality is a bit different, and every dog is a product of different circumstances that make them react in ways that make them feel safe and in control. Growling is a common behavior in dogs and isn't necessarily bad or aggressive, but it can be taken that way. The reality is, growling can indicate several things. Aggression is one of the reasons a dog will growl at a person. If your dog's background is unknown to you, they may have suffered abuse and/or aggression from other animals that factor into their responses. If they received harsh training of any kind, aggression could be somewhat of a learned response for them. The good news is, circumstances like this is that with proper training and effort, aggressive behavior can be modified to reduce incidents. Your dog may also growl if they are feeling defensive. Many breeds are very protective, and many dogs have their person, so they will have a tendency to growl when someone else is approaching as a way to ensure that their special person stays safe. You may also see this behavior if they are friendly with other dogs and a new unknown pet comes around. If a dog feels frightened or startled, they could also cause them to respond defensively with growling. Before proceeding further, please subscribe to the channel and click on the notification bell so you'll get notified when we upload the next video. 6. He doesn't want to be touched. Most dogs are affectionate and love being touched and cuddled. If that's not the case with yours, it could be he dislikes you. This was the case with my pup, as he often resisted any affectionate gestures from me. He no longer leaned in to cuddle me back, or rather he pulled away, looking for a way to escape. It could be yours isn't accustomed to touch, but if he suddenly develops a resistance, it's a sign he doesn't like you. A negative reaction to being touched is usually a classically conditioned response. With classical conditioning, the environment acts on the dog. That is, in the dog's brain, it contains a pre-programmed message that says touch is bad, and when the dog feels your touch, he reacts without stopping to think. The most effective and successful way to change your dog's response to your touch is through counter-conditioning, which programs the message at a low level of stimulus that he can at least tolerate, perhaps briefly, and softly touching his head. Then we use desensitization to help him accept the touching at gradually increasing levels of intensity, touching more of his body, touching with more pressure, or for longer periods of time. It's almost magical to watch an effective CC&D program in progress. Some behavior changes I've seen as a result of this kind of behavior modification have been nothing short of miraculous, such as one family's chow mix and newly adopted chow who wanted to tear each other to shreds but became friends within 3 weeks when the owners implemented a CC&D program. 5. He avoids looking at you. He may also avoid any eye contact with you, moving away every time you get close. Although direct eye contact is a sign of aggression among dogs, they hardly perceive it as such if you've raised them as pets. Pet dogs love fixing their gazes at their pet owners to show affection. Studies show eye contact between humans and dogs stimulates the release of oxytocin, the love hormone. It is released in various other situations, including interactions between a child and a mother. This means direct eye contact with your pup signifies he loves you. If otherwise, it indicates he dislikes you. It could be the bond between the two of you is weak and he avoids eye contact to communicate the lack of it. He may also be angry and upset and avoid any interactions, including eye contact, and move away, sometimes sleeping in another room. You may try to be affectionate by giving him treats, but he'll probably want to be left alone. If that's the case, it's best to give him space and allow him to trust you enough to develop a bond naturally. You may also do something relaxing, like listening to soft music or reading a book. 4. He barks at you excessively. Dogs often bark when they are happy to see you. They may even jump at you, wooing you to play, but when they bark excessively, it shows they dislike you. Typically, dogs bark excessively at strangers when separated from their owners and when bored and frustrated. If the latter, the barks are accompanied by whines and howls because they have little or nothing to do. More attention and exercise could help relieve boredom and reinforce good behavior. However, when the dog barks at you every time you approach him, you may need to investigate if you did something to upset him. In such scenarios, the dog gets aggressive and may charge at you. 3. He refuses to wag his tail when he sees you. A telltale sign that a dog is excited to see you is wagging his tail. He will hold the tail higher than its natural position and wag it furiously. This behavior is evident when playing with other dogs. Sometimes he adopts a playful stance with the bottom elevated, inviting you to play with him. However, if he dislikes you, he may tuck away his tail, and it could be he feels scared, nervous, or extremely submissive around you. Some dogs tuck the tail against their belly or between the rear legs, especially when feeling defensive. Remember, dogs are emotional, and if scolded or spoken to sternly, they recoil and avoid their master. Talking softly and soothingly reestablishes trust. 2. He ignores your commands. You may have spent weeks or even months training your dog to obey simple cues like sit, stay, or stop, and you're confident he can obey these commands. However, a few months down, he no longer listens to you. Instead, he glares at you and ignores your commands. Although many reasons explain his rebellion, one of them could be he dislikes you. You may have upset them, or their environment could be uncomfortable, and the best way to communicate their feelings is by ignoring you. When upset, stressed, or sad, you may create an uncomfortable environment, and your dog senses it. Your feelings influence your dog's reaction, and taking steps to calm yourself down creates a more relaxed environment for your dog to obey commands and develop a loving relationship. If a dog is fearful, anxious, or nervous, his emotional state may interfere with training. This is because the dog is often in a fight or flight state, which affects his cognitive function, impairing his ability to learn. In such a case, you may need to work in areas where your dog is less likely to be frightened, and then gradually introduce more and more stimuli in a way that does not cause him to react. As an example, if your dog was frightened of thunder, instead of immediately exposing him to recordings of thunderstorms at full volume, you should first play them at a very low volume, when he acknowledges the sound but does not become scared. After rewarding your dog while the sound is played, you would over time in numerous training sessions increase the volume at which you play the recording. This process is known as desensitization and is a common technique used in dog training. 1. He flattens his ears. Dogs use their ears as a communication tool, and understanding their varying positions help them learn a lot about their emotions. Typically, dogs keep their ears pinned back when relaxed. Most of them adopt this posture when getting head pats or kisses. However, if the dog's ears are pinned backwards or flattened against the head, it indicates they are anxious, afraid, or dislike you. Most dogs adopt this posture when feeling defensive, and the tighter they hold their ears backward, the more fearful they become. Ear scratches and belly rubs could ease the behavior, but it's essential to look out for other triggers. The chances are that he'll forget what you did to upset him as soon as you show him some tender, loving care. Do let us know in the comments if these were helpful in knowing your dog. If you enjoyed watching the video, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.